As you might guess, I'm going to talk about Sing Sing, which is now on Max, A24 release. If you look at IMDb, it says 2023. That's garbage. It barely got a theatrical release last year in 2024. That's why no one has seen it until it finally comes out on streaming, like myself, unless you are in one of the areas that has like a vast array of theaters that give you all these really small, like, art house movies. If you're in most of America, you don't get any access to a movie like Sing Sing until it comes out digitally, either for rent or sale, and then eventually on a streaming service. So it is now on Max. Directed by Greg Quidar, starring Colman Domingo. Once again, he's the most notable name in this movie. Divine G is his character. You also have a Sean San Jose playing Mike. You have Clarence Macklin, who also goes by Clarence, I think, Divine Eye Macklin. He plays Divine Eye, which I believe he's kind of the character in some ways. And then Paul Racy, which you might remember him from Sound of Metal, plays almost a similar type of character in here. He plays Brent. And there's a whole bunch of other people that basically play themselves. And that is important to know because this is a movie that takes place almost solely in Sing Sing prison. And it's about a kind of a program in there for certain inmates to put on acting, put on plays, act, and it almost becomes like a therapy, almost like a group therapy to do acting for, and therapy somewhat for the people too, like that they can watch these plays that are created by, not the plays themselves might not be created. They might be doing a famous play like a Hamlet or something, but the other inmates can watch these plays being put on and performed by fellow inmates, and it kind of brings an escape for them. And then the actors themselves, this becomes, like I said, almost like a group therapy, a way for them to not only kind of escape their obvious situation, but to be forced to actually kind of deal with emotions and deal with their persona themselves, like how they are in the world, and also have to really get deep with other people. When they're performing across from somebody and doing these roles, they have to actually become kind of vulnerable in a way that is probably not very available in the everyday life in a lot of prisons. I mean, at least not as a way that can be acceptable. I'm sure there's a lot of stigma against kind of that kind of emotion and that kind of vulnerability within a prison as well. You look as weak and all this kind of stuff, but within that acting setting, they can kind of get away with it because they know they're putting on this play and everyone else knows they're putting on this play. So there's not a level of judgment there. So the basic story though is that you got Divine G. He's kind of Coleman Domingo, and he's kind of the de facto, like, help kind of create this thing. He kind of leads it, but he doesn't totally lead it. He's kind of a mentor figure. He's been there for a long time, and you also kind of understand as he goes along that he is also kind of a jailhouse lawyer type, right? He's constantly writing up people's appeals, writing up people's clemency, hearings. He's doing a lot of things to help other inmates try to eventually get parole, and as well as working on that for himself. So he gets a level of respect and kind of a level from other inmates just for that. He's kind of got his own kind of status. And he's also a very kind of a positive figure in a lot of ways. To some point, that's even looked askance on by other inmates, right? For example, Divine Eye. Divine Eye is, the classic kind of a stereotypical kind of character, right? He's kind of the gangster type, right? He's in his world. He's top dog. People are scared of him. He's gonna kind of run around and threaten the newer guys, make sure that they're doing what he wants them to do. He's that kind of dude, right? But for whatever reason, he's kind of interested in this acting troupe. So he's like the new guy in there. And that's kind of your through line for this movie, right? You have the new tough guy who's definitely going to be looking kind of sideways at this and kind of like he can't be that vulnerable. He's got to kind of keep that tough exterior, but he's kind of interested in this acting group. How does he interact with this group and not have total, suspicion or, aggression back to them? How is he going to deal with this? And that's kind of the through line. And really between those two, between Divine, so to both have Divine, right? Divine G and Divine I, how are they going to interact and how are they going to come through the other end of this experience together? And after that, there is plot, but really it's about human interaction. And that's, of course, the key of this movie. It's about looking at the mass incarceration system as a huge collection of people. And I understand some of these people, and they don't shy away from it. These people have done terrible things to other people, and there needs to be some retribution for that. But are we using revenge, and are we looking for retribution? Are we looking for payback, or are we looking for a way to have a person pay a sentence for doing these bad things, but then hopefully come out the other side as better human beings? Is that our goal? Or do we just want to lock people away and let them rot forever? I mean, what is our goal? I think right now in the world, we are in a world where revenge and cruelty and immovability and the feeling of giving less freedom and giving less points for people to show us that they were or weren't guilty. We just look to immediately convict and immediately incarcerate and immediately punish and immediately, just in every way possible right now, the world just wants to abuse anyone they think is the other or weaker or not with the attitude that they want to have. That person just deserves derision and violence. And I think in a lot of ways that just is directly represented in the prison systems right now. That's my political standpoint. Sorry about that, guys. So this movie, I think, agrees with that as far as that is the way it is being treated, and they disagree with that as the way it should be treated. And they're showing things like this, very, very human points of view of a world within a prison and the people there. And that is the important thing about this movie, is the people and the interactions. And I think in that sense, it's a beautiful, beautiful movie. And a lot of people have reacted similarly. It's kind of a shame that it didn't get more promotion. I'm not sure why it didn't get more promotion. It feels like it's kind of dropped the ball, because usually A24 is pretty good about getting stuff out there. And this seems like a shoe-in for a lot more awards, Oscar buzz than it got. And I feel like it could have easily been a pretty high up front runner. I mean, it did get some, but I just feel like it kind of fell by the wayside in a way that it probably shouldn't have. The one thing that's kind of interesting too in this movie, and it's been noted by anyone who reviews it, of course, is nearly everybody in this movie is, not everybody, but almost everybody are actual former inmates that were involved in that program. So the people you see, almost every peripheral character, almost all of them were who they were in the movie, as far as how they were, what their names were, how they acted, what they look like. That's them. And it's one of those movies at the end, a lot of times at the end of a movie that's like a biopic, at the end they'll have all the photos of the real people. Well, here it's more just like you have the cast at the end where it says like, Divine G, Colman Domingo. It'll kind of flash the photos and show their name and who did it, who they played. Once you get past the first two or three kind of actors, people, it just says blank as himself and blank as himself, blank as himself, blank as himself. And just all these people that you just watched who were absolutely equally effective as actors in this movie were just themselves. And that also is just kind of proof of concept, proof that what they were doing and what they are doing, I guess, maybe it hasn't been killed by now. It seems like the kind of thing that Doge would immediately destroy. Oh, we're spending our tax money to let, hardened criminals act? What a waste of money. That's exactly what the, kind of response of the world is right now. It's a very fine movie. It is by far worth your time. How do you describe it? The kind of the feeling you get watching Cuckoo's Nest. I think it works very similar to that. It's this kind of combination of frustration, of being imprisoned, kind of this group therapy, self-therapy between people who are trapped. And I think that's very strong in Cuckoo's Nest, and I think it's very strong here. The difference in Cuckoo's Nest is much more about authority and the injustice of authority, whereas in this movie, it's much more, the injustice is baked in. The authority is baked in. It's a given. That is just the world we're in Sing Sing. The point of this movie is, how do you maintain your humanity and how do you survive within that system? You aren't changing that system. There's nothing you're going to do to change that. You're not going to tear up the thing and throw it through the window and run out across the field. It might be a spoiler for some people if they know what I'm talking about. You're not going to get out for a day and play basketball or get a boat ride. You're going to maybe get to go out to the yard, and you're going to maybe get to sit up against the grass and the tree that's out in the yard and look at the water on the other side of the fence. But really, how are you going to maintain your sanity and your humanity within that system? And that is what this movie's all about. And it's very good at doing that. I'm going to go 5 stars in this. I don't know how I can go less. It's a fantastic movie.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.